You're joining me inside the bivvy right now. There's the main course, served with a dental harp toothpick. I can't express how great this feels right now. I've got so far to go, this isn't even funny. This bag is over 9 kilograms and it's all uphill. Most of this walk was on bleak heathery hillside, open to and battered by the elements. But after putting in over 1,000 feet of elevation in less than the first 2 miles of this walk, and with that backpack, that bracing wind was literally a breath of fresh air. Just look at how steep this hillside is. Look at the angle of just the fence in the foreground in relation to the angle of the sheep stood upright on the hillside. I am at a genuine risk of getting lost if I keep just barging straight through all of these sharp bits. But I haven't really got much choice. Sunset is less than 2 hours away. I am 6 miles over a mountain away from the car, and every time I see a clearing in the trees that looks like it might be a campsite, well, the unbelievable bad ground conditions say otherwise. Another hazard are the random potholes and bogs that are filling with water. I'll not lie to you, my friends, after being exposed to that wind that I thought at first was a breath of fresh air for a couple of hours had become quite grating, so I was pleased to get back to a bit of tree cover again, but looking at the ground I was worried I might end up walking back in the dark. Luckily I've only got the bivvy bag, so I'm not trying to find a big open space for a tent. Hello there folks, you were joining me in the middle of a random bit of woodland. I couldn't even point to my exact location on a map right now. Probably not the best of things to admit at the opening of this video. I've walked for over 6 miles and 3 hours up a mountain to get out to this point, and I'll admit, I wasn't anticipating reaching this point less than 2 hours before the sun sets, and as I say, over 6 miles from the car, discovering it to be completely unsuitable for camping and for sleeping. Luckily I've got the bivvy bag with me, so I'm just going to have to find somewhere that's relatively flat that I can just lie down in, and hopefully it won't rain overnight and I won't disappear into the murk and the mud. I've realised I don't have a fork, so I'm going to have to use a toothpick instead. Oh well. I also realise at this point I don't have a mug to have my hot chocolate in the morning. Okay, that didn't go to plan. It started to all boil over, and in my panic I accidentally pushed it all the way around to full, at which point it then started to boil even more, and it, well, as you can see, not ideal, but at least I know it's definitely cooked. A little bit left over for seconds. There's the main course, served with a dental harp toothpick and an extra little portion of cheese ready for the next round. You know what, that cheese smells absolutely wonderful. There's just that earthy smell in the woodland, as you would imagine. Like I say, everything is that damp to the touch and just that little bit spongy around here. Could actually be a surprisingly wet night. I'll use my poncho tarp as a ground sheet, hopefully keep a nice waterproof layer or 5 between me and the ground. But to be honest, right now, this is absolutely beautiful. The fact that you can hear that wind in the background rustling through the trees above and surrounding us. Here, there's barely a breath of air touching me. Let's go. The cheese, always the cheese. I just love cheese. For the people who may not believe what they're seeing, yes, I really am poking it with a toothpick and then put it straight in my mouth. This is a proper, genuine moment of just happiness and contentment. And it's taken an awful long time to get here, both figuratively and literally walking over a mountain or two. Oh yeah, you haven't had a proper look, have you? So this is how spongy the ground is. That's not really showing you. There. That's just the part that happens to be, wow, look at it. Oh, this could be some fun. And obviously, you might be able to tell, it is incredibly, incredibly damp as well. This could be a bit silly. Oh well. What do you think about this, my friends? I really haven't got many options, if we're honest. Just a few of these grooves here that are quite open. That's quite a wide one in parts. I don't want to get too far away from my bags and my cooking kit. But you can see we're very much of a... Oh, this is so bad. It would be fair to say that sleeping in a ditch is not entirely how I thought this evening would go when I set out on this trip, but I knew at this point that the sun was getting lower in the sky and it would soon meet the mountains, and after that point I would rapidly lose light, so I had no choice but to just get on with it. These ditches were so narrow that I couldn't even find a space wide enough for the small poles of my bivvy bag to lay flush against the ground, but I knew I was already committed for the night. Failure was not an option. Even if I'd have wanted to try and flee back to the car, it would have simply been a bad idea. I would have been doing most of the journey in the dark. I would have been putting that 9-kilogram rucksack right back on my back, and then walking across some of the most uneven terrain and battling back through the woodlands as well. Sleeping in the ditch was the better option. So you can actually see what the problem is quite well here. The bases of the poles are elevated well above, all the way down here where my body's actually going to rest, and that elastic line actually illustrates just how high the base of the poles are. However, as long as I don't put any weight or too much weight up here, it's not going to be stressing the head box of the bivvy bag. So I might just about get away with it. One of the things about working in this environment is it's almost impossible to keep all of the trees and needles out of the bivvy. There's a little bit of rain in the air as well, so I'm going to get this done as soon as possible. It's always so satisfying to see a campsite come together, even with something as simple as a bivvy bag. I suppose it's just the very notion of any form of shelter materialising when you're in this environment. At this point, I was blissfully unaware that I had done something tremendously stupid and potentially quite dangerous. If we look back at this clip from earlier in the evening before I'd had anything to eat, you can see that I basically, as soon as I arrived at the campsite, had to get my phone and my watch on charge from my little power bank, because the watch is getting on for 5 years old, my phone 2 years old, and with the ridiculous amount of activity tracking and filming that I do, they simply don't hold a charge like they once upon a time did. Little did I realise that power bank itself was also barely charged, so I continued filming for the evening as if I didn't have any concerns of that nature. I can't express how great this feels right now. I already can feel myself warming up and feeling all toasty and cosy in here. And this is what it's all about. I am here literally lying on the ground, in a bag, surrounded by trees. I literally can't see anything other than trees and grass and dead pine needles. But yeah, I'm here all wrapped up, cosy, toasty, and with cooking capabilities, don't forget. Still got a hot chocolate to have. This is what I love. This is fantastic. Oh, love it. Yes, it's amazing. Just getting the shelter set up. I've gone from having doubts, from being slightly concerned about the trajectory of the evening, to suddenly thinking this is absolutely fantastic. And oh, I wish I could do it every night. Perhaps not every night, but a lot more nights than I do. Anyway, I need to get my pillow set up, sort out my shoes and everything, and just figure out what I'm doing next. Oh, fantastic. I'm very pleased now. Talk about being reinvigorated by getting the shelter sorted. So here's my little setup. Mustn't forget the selfie stick tripod over there. So to make sure that I don't accidentally put my head or a load of weight on this bit that might stretch and rip because of the dip, I've got my bag pushed underneath it, so there's all of the cooking stuff and gas and that kept in here, so that's out of the bivvy itself, of course. We've got that tied around here, so if somebody did randomly find this and try and yank this away, it's going to pull the whole bivvy as well. I will obviously put my very wet boots now in that and keep those in the bivvy up in this top space with me. And you can see checking poles down at the bottom, and that's it really. Without having the bag on the inside, we've got a lot of open space at this head area. Welcome to the bivvy bag POV. So as you can see, we've got quite a dark woodland around us. This is even with the light on the phone trying to illuminate our immediate vicinity. Believe me, the way the phone is making it look so light compared to how it actually looks here right now is not doing it justice. And then when we look up, you can see it's making it look like it could be the middle of the day. But I think you only have to look at how much the branches right overhead are being illuminated by the flash of the phone to see how dark they actually are in reality. But ultimately, this isn't too uncomfortable. You're joining me inside the bivvy right now, looking through the front window. So we're literally lying prone on the ground, looking straight out into the woods. How brilliant is that? I don't know why, but I really, really love that view. I tell you, something that I really love, every now and then the wind really, really dies down for a few seconds. I just hear a few birds still tweeting away, and it just goes so quiet because my ears and everything have got used to that background hum of the whoosh, whoosh. When that disappears, it's almost too quiet again. It's basically completely dark out as far as I'm concerned at this point, certainly in the woods at least. I'm tempted though to have my hot chocolate now because I know exactly what I'll be like in the morning. I've got a 6 a.m. alarm set, and I will want to just get up, get packed and get moving straight away because I'll probably be a bit sore and achy from lying in this unusual ditch in the woodlands. So I'm tempted. I might just have that now as a nice little bonus, nice lovely little chocolatey end to the day. Oh, this is fantastic. This is the best camp I've done possibly this year, I'd say. Okay, my friends, so I was going to do my hot chocolate now, but having had a look around, I'm now going to declare it is definitely way too dark to risk having any kind of light source on for too long, including this one right now. It was just after this point that I realised my phone was no longer recharging at roughly 28% battery life, so I thought the only sensible option was to try and preserve that battery for the next day, to go to sleep and simply stop filming. Unfortunately, when I woke in the small hours, the battery life had dropped to lower than 10%, maybe because it had been continuously searching for a phone signal. Another mistake by me from not putting it in airplane mode, I suppose. However, my watch had plenty of charge, so luckily I had that to use as an alarm to get up at a sensible 6 a.m, and also, even though I wouldn't be able to communicate with the outside world, if I did need anyone in an emergency, my watch could provide them with my GPS location. So what did happen on the trip back and the following morning? Well, it started to drizzle and then rain fully from about 5:30, and it didn't stop until around 1 p.m. So as you can imagine, I was a little bit wet by the time that I got back to the car. However, I arrived safely, I didn't twist my ankle or slip over, and so as far as I was concerned, it was a successful trip all around. An absolutely wonderful night where I really did get a surprising amount of good quality sleep. Fantastic. Thank you very much for watching. Please give the video a like to help it out and subscribe for more of this. If you really want to help me out, consider becoming a PayPal supporter, a channel member, a Facebook subscriber, or leaving a super thanks, just like some of my recent supporters. Rob, Hillybean, Bowling01, Chris F, Reese W, Nick T, John D, Lima Bean, Mr Dave C, 1234, Art V, Thing, Terence S, Amber S, Julie R, Martin H, Melissa S, Carol P, Kevin Y, Alice L, Jackie A, Sean B, Colin S, Elaine L, Kaz G, Rich A H, MV, James G, Zoe F, George B, Sharon L H. Until the next time, keep it bivvy-wavy, keep it interesting, have a fantastic day, and of course, my friends, farewell.